everybody, and thank you for joining me today. We've got another in our interviews with executives of junior mining companies, and today we have one of our sponsors, True Precious Metals. They had some very good news out today, and they still have a very modest valuation considering where they are and what they're doing. So let's get on to it, Barry. Why don't you give us a little rundown of the highlights?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, Allan. Yeah, so we had the press release out today. We've completed our drilling program on the Golden Rose property. We've drilled two areas. We drilled Wood Lake and we've drilled out at King George IV. And we've encountered some more visible gold in drill core at Wood Lake. And we've got several mineralized intercepts. We got two complete assays in from two holes with quite a lot of holes pending. So
those were from the Wood Lake, right?
Yeah, those were from the Wood Lake, and we're still cutting core. We've got a lot more sampling to do and to be cut over the next 2-3 weeks. So it's kind of an ongoing, the drill has stopped turning, but the program is still running, and it's going to be running for the next couple of weeks until we get all that done and then into the lab. And then we wait for all the assays to start rolling in and keeping our fingers crossed on that. So
Wood Lake was the initial drilling, and there was some exciting stuff in that. You guys hit some nice hole. And then these other two holes, they're to the east slightly, right?
What other two? The two with the visible gold?
The two that you announced today.
Oh, okay. The two that we announced today, they're slightly to the west.
Well, sorry, yeah, got my east and west mixed up.
Yeah, no sweat.
But
they're kind of in a central area where there'd been quite a bit of drilling, and I know you like to talk about the Z flexure that goes around the lake. So they're towards the east end, I guess, of what looks like the Z.
The west, to the west of that visible gold hole, right?
Well, interesting. Correct. Go ahead, Barry.
No, sorry, Perry.
Allan, we're just so excited,
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, you guys, this is just starting out, really. You guys are not that old as a public company, and in a very short period of time, you've done a lot of good work to prepare for drilling. And then upon drilling, you've had good results, good to great results from Wood Lake, and now you're getting some really encouraging stuff from the King George IV. So it's been quite a bang, 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 bang sort of developments.
Yeah, so these gold hits that we've got this morning are from Woods Lake. So that's a known gold zone. So it's certainly, we would expect to be getting some gold intersections there, but it's always nice to be, coming up with comparable results in places that haven't been drilled in that zone before. But as for KG4, which you mentioned as well, we've gotten this press release too, and Barry can certainly speak to this better than I can, but at a high level, we're intersecting mineralization that's indicative of copper up there, which is pretty cool. And that actually ties into this whole secondary structure that Barry, Pierce, and our team have discovered, on the northern side of Golden Rose. So it's like you've got these two highly prospective avenues or streets that run through the property. The main one that includes Woods Lake, where we got the gold hits, and then the newer one where we got copper hits or what mineralization indicates copper, and kind of all along that secondary structure, there's soil samples and rock samples indicative of both gold and copper.
So folks, what they're talking about there are these deep structures that are cracks in the earth that go very deep towards the upper mantle. And this is the conduit that allows the gold and copper bearing fluids to make their way up to the surface. And at Wood Lake, I was initially, when I first started talking to you guys, I was very excited about that because there's a Z in one of the faults, one of these deep cracks. But now you've got quite a interesting faults in that KG4 area. And you also mentioned the Jacobs Pond, which I believe, if my memory serves me correct, is where you got a very high grade hit in a float sample with high grade copper and gold. So Barry, why don't you try to talk about all that? I know I laid a lot out there for you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, yeah, so this secondary deep crustal structure or fault that you were discussing, the one over by King George IV Lake, or KG4 as we call it, that one, that structure actually trends all the way up, kind of starts to turn, is kind of going north-south, then it starts to turn towards the northeast, and then eventually starts going almost east-west as you get up towards Jacobs Pond. And so the main, and then on the other side where we're drilling at Woods Lake, that structure also goes up towards the north, and then starts swinging a little bit to the northwest. And so where the two kind of start coming close to each other, that's kind of almost merging. That's where Jacobs Pond is.
And those faults are kind of over here, and the main Valentine Lake is on the east side, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's like they're coming back towards the Valentine Lake corridor.
It's almost like the shape of an almond, where they're kind of rotating, and they're kind of starting to come almost coalesce towards each other. So you got two. It's sort of wrapping around large features, creating almond shaped or kind of ovoid type shapes in the regional geology. And so where that structure over by KG4 starts to swing up and kind of goes up through the Jacobs Pond area, you're not too far now from where the main, say, Valentine Lake structural trend comes down through as well.
So those intersections of faults are very good conduits as well. And you're seeing signs of that, that making sense, because at Jacobs Pond, refresh the audience memory of the float sample you took. That was huge grades.
It was. I'm actually trying to remember the numbers exactly myself now.
I got the press release. We got 14.3 grams per ton gold, well into high grade, 11% copper, way into high grade, and 368 grams a ton of silver as well, also well into high grade. It is a float sample, but those are very high numbers at surface.
Yeah.
Well, and it looks like the source of where those came from are not far from where that float sample was taken.
Well, that's what we're hoping. Obviously, we can't guarantee, there's no way of guaranteeing that that's the case, right? So
Hold on a
second. To get to work, it's going to be up to us, right, to get to work with a systematic exploration program over the rest of the year to try and firm up that theory. I mean,
but there's evidence in that float sample not being rounded and stuff like that, that it probably didn't travel a long distance from its source.
It's very angular. It looks very localized, and there's a lot of, quite a lot more of very angular, mineralized, gold rich, not as high as that one necessarily, samples around the area, all around that area for like over a kilometer, maybe kilometer 1.2. But then there's also, this zone, we know the zone comes to surface in bedrock as well. So it's not like it's all loose material. There is an actual bedrock occurrence, a gold showing, which, when you look at kind of the morphology or what that mineralization looks like, it looks somewhat similar, I would say fairly similar to what we're finding in these float samples. So we're kind of hoping that they're all coming off of that same bedrock feature along strike somewhere. And so that's what, we are quite excited about Jacobs Pond. It's shaping up to be a very nice exploration target.
I know we got a bit of a tight schedule here, so let's go back and sort of touch on each one. So, okay, at the south end, you've got that Z formation of the fault, and you've hit some high grade, you've hit some visible gold, and you hit some high grade in the drilling. More work to follow there. Then you've got the King George IV area, and you've got a big feature there of faults that are wide open, I would say. And then at the northern end of that, you've got the Jacob's Pond. So let's touch on each of those and sort of where we go from here.
I'll just say, I guess that the 2 holes we've got so far, we don't have high grade in those drill holes, although we do have visible gold. We're still waiting for full assays back. There are smaller intercepts of high grade within larger intercepts of low to medium grade, which is very much consistent with our neighbors on both sides of Golden Rose, which would be Marathon Gold and Matador Gold. So that's kind of typical of the mineralization along the shear zone.
Actually, the grades you hit would probably be higher than most of the grades in Valentine Lake to the north of you, right? Barry?
Barry?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that.
Similar.
Similar, yeah, like kind of the average grade. They've got higher grades at Valentine Lake for sure. And probably a lot more visible gold up at Valentine Lake. I worked there years ago. There's a lot of visible gold at Valentine Lake. And I would not say it's better, but it's, the average grades are probably comparable to the average grades that are reported for Valentine Lake.
Okay.
We're only 2 holes in here.
Matador.
Yeah. Marathon's done, tens and tens of thousands of meters. We run just over 4,000, and we only have back 2 holes of those. So it's still early days for us. There is much more to come. So I guess we want to manage and level set expectations, but thus far I think we're pleased and excited because the results are comparable to our neighbors out of the gate. That's the right way to start the program.
Where would the next drilling be? Most likely at Wood Lake, and then followed up at KG4, and then Jacob's Pond?
It all depends on what we see in all of our remaining assays. We can't really look that far down the road yet. We got to kind of wait till everything comes back and kind of evaluate what we have. In the meantime, we are planning to do work at Jacob's Pond, in the interim period, while we're waiting for all that. So, we're still moving forward, but where we actually move a drill next, that's to be determined.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, guys. I want to be mindful of the time. I guess you guys are kind of busy today.
Yeah. It's a good start to the day in the new year.
Yeah, but thanks so much. It's been great. Always great talking to you, Allan.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. If you guys have time, you can listen in. If not, I can do it on my own. So there you go, folks. Joel Freudman and Barry Greene are very enthusiastic, as I am, about true precious metals, and they're in Newfoundland. And the key thing you want in Newfoundland is these deep structures, these deep cracks in the earth that allow the fluids to make the fluids with gold and copper to make their way up to the surface. They're just getting started, and I have to stress that they're just getting started at their Wood Lake, their King George IV area, and this Jacob's Pond is really exciting to me because of what they found at the surface and the sort of intersection of 2 key deep faults, and those sort of intersections help to break the rock up and make it prepared for the fluids to make their way up. So at the end of the day, these guys are going to have a lot of drilling. They still have a very modest valuation, especially relative to a lot of their peers in Newfoundland. Newfoundland is probably the most exciting gold rush area on the planet right now. And they're all the stories are the same there. These deep structures, these conduits that crack the earth open and bring the fluids up, and they're finding visible gold in their drilling, they're finding good grades in their drilling, and they're just getting started. So I invite you to do your homework on this one. As always, my shows are for information purposes only. It's important for you to do your homework and speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. But and again, I invite you to do your homework on this one because it's in Newfoundland. It's got all the right hallmarks of making some great discoveries, and they're just rolling up their sleeves. So on that note, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.